Welcome to Going for the Green. I'm Brad Thomas here with Denny Carter, and there is cause for celebration. Bryson DeChambeau came in clutch for me, cashing a 50-1. I feel like I've only been talking about him to cash every major, and he finally gets it done in the third major of the year. Denny, how are things going for you, man?
Good. Look, we had Cantlay with a strong
Yes.
finish last week at a very low rostership in DFS. Felt pretty good about that. We also had Isaiah Salinda, okay, a guy you could get for the bare minimum on DraftKings. He made the cut and finished top 40. That was pretty cool. So overall, a solid week. I do wish I had listened more to you, Brad, and had a little more Bryson in my lineups, but overall, pretty good week.
Hey, man, you've been crushing it with these low price guys. I have to give you a little pat on the back. But before we talk about the Travelers Championship, let's talk about the KPMG Women's PGA Championship. Another major. Nelly Korda is the favorite once again. Do you think she bounces back after her last major where it was just a terrible, poor performance, carding a 10 on a par 3? Let me know what you think.
Well, Brad, thankfully, that's all it was, really. I mean, across the board, besides that catastrophic 10 on a 3, which again, per the analytics, not good to make a 10 on a 3. I get that. But besides that, her ball striking was in line with the rest of her season. Her short game was a little off, but not too incredibly far off. Her putting was still solid, right? So
Yeah.
we got the regular Nelly Korda, except for that one hole. So if you can project her for not having a total meltdown hole in this championship, then I think that she is, the odds-on favorite and should take this home, honestly.
Okay. So plus 850. Let me get another pick from you that has a little bit more value.
Yeah, so we have three here. First one is Ataya Tidikol plus 1400 to win this tournament. She's second behind only Korda in strokes gained total this season. She's first in greens of regulation in 2024, eighth in birdie or better this season. 5 consecutive top 12s coming into this tournament. So she's red hot coming into this championship. She had a 6th place finish at the U.S. Women's Open with a strong weekend. And her putting and her approach play have been very good over the past 30 days. That's a great formula for this course where putting and approach play are very much an emphasis for players coming into this one.
Okay, cool. Tell me what you like about Ellie Ewing.
Yeah.
Ewing, excuse me.
No, sorry. Allie Ewing, plus 3,500 to win. She's 9th in total strokes gain this season. So really what you have is a player with a good all-around game. Like she's in the top 30 in all the major categories, including ball striking, including off the tee, approach, stroke game, putting, whatever you want to look at. She's actually pretty solid in. She has 4 straight top 12 finishes coming into this tournament, and she was 3rd at the Women's U.S. Open. She's been very strong off the tee lately, and you're going to need to keep it in the short stuff, in the short grass this week. Ewing has been very good at that over the past couple months.
Nice 35-1 price on Ewing. I need a long shot, Denny. Give me something over the 100-1 price.
Man, Eugene Sung is plus 15,000 to win this game, this championship. She's 6th in strokes gained on approach this season, 7th in average proximity to the pin from the fairway. She's really good with her irons. The rest of her game is suspect, as you would expect from a player with such long odds. She did have a 12th last week, and she was 10th best in tee to green in that tournament. So short game leaves a lot to be desired, but we'll take a ball striker who can get hot with the putter. Maybe that's your ticket.
I'm going to be brutally honest. After the last major where Fjordaway did not come through after looking so great in the first 2 rounds, I'm going to have to sit this one out and let you take the reins and cash one of these beautiful tickets.
Right.
I just felt too heartbroken. It's tough to bet on golf year round, but we do it because we're crazy.
Hard game.
Let's get into the Travelers Championship played at TPC River Highlands. I'm going to start with I don't know if he's my favorite bet to win, but he's definitely a favorite of the tournament, and that's Patrick Cantlay. I have him to win at 20-1 and top 20 at -110. Mind you, there's only 71 golfers in this field, so the prices of those top 20 markets are going to be a lot shorter, and the outright markets are going to be a lot shorter as well. There might not be a better golfer in the world on bent grass than Patrick Cantlay. And when you highlighted Patrick Cantlay last week, I said he didn't pop up in my model all that much. And it was not because he doesn't have the skill set. It's because how he had been playing. He turns the corner, which you could kind of see in the pattern of his games coming and of his rounds coming up, turns the corner, puts on a tremendous performance, was in contention at the US Open, but his numbers were outstanding. He gained 7.5 strokes ball striking, another 5 on the putting surface, and his short game was impeccable at a course that needed it. Well, you're going to need more really good short game here. You're going to need a ball strike really well. This golf course is designed, it puts a massive premium on hitting fairways. At one point, I think it was round 2, Denny. Oh, no, round 1. Patrick Cantlay was 11 for 11 in fairways hit. I was like, Denny is a god for calling this out, because now it opened my eyes for next week. Yes, I planned ahead. Patrick Cantlay, I'm betting him to win. I'm betting him to finish top 20. Mind you, in his last, 4 starts here, he hasn't had a finish outside of the top 20.
Cantlay is quietly hot right now. I mean, not so quietly after the US Open, but always has had a really good short game. I think that can continue this week. And look at this course demands precision over power. You can't overpower this course. You have to be very precise. Cantlay, again, had been struggling, when he's on his game, is a very precision-based player. I like him on this course.
Yeah. There's another golfer. I haven't decided quite what I'm going to do with Mr. Ludwig Åberg.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to bet him, because if I bet him outright, I have to only bet him, Cantlay, and then the guy I talk about afterwards, just due to the short price. But I think Åberg proved last week that he is here to stay. He can play at courses that are really tight. Tell me what you like about Åberg and kind of how you're going to play him.
Yeah. So, for this week in DFS, I'm focusing on players who keep it in the fairway, players who have good short-term form with their irons and are okay around the greens. That's kind of what you're looking for at this course. And that's Åberg to a T. I mean, despite being kind of a disaster around the greens last week at Pinehurst, he still finished tied for 12th in the US Open. He's 3rd in this field in driving accuracy on the season. He hits the fairway at an 88% clip over his past 20 rounds, folks. That's what we call very accurate. That's an inside term, but we'll let you use it this week. 88% clip on the fairway, crazy. He's 7th in strokes gained on approach among players in this field, and he's 15th best in proximity in a very important bucket, Brad, which is 125 to 150 yards. He's been excellent in that area over the past couple months. So I don't think that he's going to be some kind of huge pivot play in DFS, but I also think that people are going to flock to Scotty Scheffler, who's in the field. Yeah, maybe to a lesser degree. I will say maybe we're not going to get 35 or 40% Scotty. Maybe we're going to get 25%, which is something to think about. I want to say for the DFS players out there, but I don't think Åberg will be over rostered. I'm okay with it. With a 20% Åberg, I'm in on that.
20% Åberg, I'm okay with that as well. Before we get to the additional picks, I want to remind everyone that the best in women's golf look to prove themselves in the Pacific Northwest in pursuit of a major title. It's the KPMG Women's PGA Championship. Make sure you tune in on Golf Channel and Peacock. Denny, listen, I don't call myself a Russell Henley guy. I don't like betting Russell Henley. It's not because he's not a great guy. I imagine he's probably really great, but I feel like he reminds me, betting on him reminds me of like eating the Chex cereal, like it's substantial. He has a lot of top 20 finishes, but it never really gets the job done. Right? You want the cinnamon toast crunch, and he's not that, doesn't have that pizzazz, but I don't care. I cannot ignore what I'm seeing from Russell Henley. Finished top 20 at the US Open quietly. I'm betting him top 20 to finish again here because he's done great things here in his last 2 trips. T19 took a year off, then T19 the year before. More importantly, he's 2nd in my model, only behind Scotty Scheffler. Why? Fairways and greens, man. Fairways and greens. That's what we're going to do here. He's not long off the tee, but it doesn't matter. He hits fairways, and then he hits greens. But more importantly, he's 7th in strokes gained over the last 36 rounds in putting. I think that's super important. his price at plus 125 is something that's palatable, especially if he finishes like T23 and we miss out. At least we were going for a nice plus money number on him.
Henley popped up as third in my model,
Nice.
and so I'm with you there. I will say, you know, for DFS purposes and large field tournaments, we're going to see Henley with a very high rostership number. So, you know, if you don't want to eat all the chalk, consider fading him. But for betting wise, I think that Henley is a good play.
So when I was building my model, and I was kind of looking for a specific golfer type, I was geared towards Sepp Straka a little bit, and I think I had to make the decision of if I'm thinking Sepp Straka or the guy who I'll talk about after you.
Yeah.
And I see that you made Sepp Straka. So unlike my dislike for Cantlay last week, I actually have a lot of love for Straka this week. So go ahead and tell me what are the great things about his game that are going to fit here at TPC River Highlands.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that in DFS roster construction, we kind of get a little bit carried away with guys who hit it far. And, you know,
Yeah.
we want to see these guys overpower a course. Like, well, I mentioned a couple minutes ago, that's not how this course is played typically. That's not how guys win on this course. So Sepp Straka really fits the profile of past winners here. He puts the ball in the fairway. He hits a lot of greens. He can get hot with the putting. Second most accurate driver in this field behind only Colin Morikawa on the season. I mentioned Oberg's 88% fairway rate. That's just very recently. But Straka has gained strokes on approach in 7 of his past 8 events. He had 2 straight top 5 finishes before a 56th place at the U.S. Open, despite a hole-in-one. He got a hole-in-one, still 56th. Oh, well. So, you know, so it goes. Short game's not very strong. But if you want a guy who is, you know, has the potential to go deep here. And this is a no cut event, by the way. Yeah. So, you know, we don't have to worry about that too much, but I think that Straka is kind of a sleepy pick that is not going to be very popular this week.
Mr. Straka, what, the old Georgia Bulldog. Yeah. I'm going to go with another Georgia Bulldog. This is the Georgia Bulldog show. I'm going with Brian Harman. And I feel like a lot of the things you said about Straka not being crazy long off the tee, but being accurate fit for Brian Harman. I'm taking him to win. I haven't taken Brian Harman to win in like the last 2 months, but I think this is another good fit for him. This course is not overly long. It's not long at all. It's actually really short, and it puts a premium on hitting the fairway. Brian Harman has pretty much been the guy at this course the last 4 years, last 5 years. And what I mean by that is not only did he finish runner-up here last year, he had a T8, a T5, T8 4 years ago. It's how he kind of pulls in the attention of the camera crew, of the people betting on him, because this is just such a perfect course fit. And I want to elaborate on that a little bit more. He's accurate off the tee, but it's different. When golfers, the big guys, the Finaus, the Scotty Schefflers, the Obergs, when they're hitting irons off the tees because their landing zone doesn't allow them to hit a driver, Harman's hitting driver, which gives him a proximity of about 100 yards compared to probably the 125, 130-yard proximity of the bigger guns, which means he's going to have a higher lofted club in his hand, making it easier to hit the green, closer to the green. So I like Brian Harman a lot this week. He also was T21 at a course that I thought was going to be way too tough for him. Pretty good at the U.S. Open. And last but not least, even if he does not hit driver off the tee on those layup holes, he's 8th in strokes gained, 150 yards to 175 yards. He might not win, right? Like Brian Harman might not win, but at 40-1, I certainly think that's a pretty good price, Denny.
Absolutely. And Harman's a dog, and we always give a puncher's chance. What is that? Is that the phrase? Puncher's chance.
Puncher's chance.
Yeah.
Brian Harman's Mr. Chip in a chair. All you need is Brian Harman to be in the field, and he has a chance to win. It's funny, but tell me about Lee Hodges, what you like about him at 6,400.
Yeah, I mean, one of the most inexpensive plays on DraftKings this week. He's first. Listen to this. I was a little bit surprised by this. Lee Hodges, first in proximity to the pin from the fairway over the past 24 rounds. That's a pretty good sample size, Brad. And, you know, he's first in proximity. He's gained strokes on approach in 6 of his past 7 events. He's been a little erratic off the tee of late. But over the long term, he is actually accurate and a little bit sneaky long. Not that it matters here, like I said 15 times by now. But Hodges is hot coming into this event. He has made the cut in 5 straight events. I think that you could do a lot worse if you're trying to, save a little money, and maybe afford a Scotty and an Oberg, a Scotty and maybe a Finau, something like that. Hodges makes a lot of sense, and honestly, I don't think folks are going to be super in on Hodges. Thankfully, if you're going to go ahead and use him as a cost saving option here.
Yeah, absolutely. The Alabama product, Roll Tide, is actually kind of stepping in for that new wave of talented Alabama golfers in the PGA Tour. Before I let you go, Denny, I need to ask you a question because I know this is going to get asked day in and day out this week. How much emphasis do you put on the mental strain of grinding out a major and then heading into a signature event the following week?
I find it hard to guess. So I guess I just kind of ignore it because I think it affects guys differently. I will say I don't know how these dudes get over the mental strain of a course like Pinehurst. I mean, I was stressed watching it, like you're as as a golfer, you're thinking, how do they do it? How do they play 4 consecutive days? Brad, I played 2 consecutive days recently, and I felt like I needed to go to the ER. I was so sore. I was so sore and just tired. And these guys played 4 days on Pinehurst. So I don't know. I mean, they're athletes. I know folks maybe don't want to acknowledge that. They're athletes. I think most of them will be fine.
If I remember correctly, Keegan Bradley missed the cut prior than won at the Travelers Championship. But everyone listening, make sure you do not forget to check out NBCSports.com for more help with your wagers. I hope this is a great week, a profitable week for Denny Carter. I'm Brad Thomas. Thanks for checking out Going for the Green.